What's up, CineNerds?
What's going on? I'm Ryan.
I'm JP, and welcome to our beginning of our Halloween month here. We're getting in.
It is here. What did you choose for our kickoff here, JP?
So, I gave you a list, and you kind of picked a couple films off of my list, and this one was Jason Goes to Hell. And I chose this one for a couple of reasons. I added this one to my Halloween list because it is one of the most hated Friday the 13th films.
I can understand why.
And I have some arguments against that.
Well, I'm glad you said it that way. So that was one of my questions I had for you. Like, what made you pick this one about all the Friday the 13th?
I wanted to do this one out of all the Friday the 13th because I think this one deserves to be defended a bit. And because it is probably the most hated of most of the Friday the 13th films. Like this film gets a lot of fucking hate. And I think there's a lot of unjustified hate for this film.
So my initial impressions of this movie were, and this is one of those movies I watched once, didn't watch again until now, and that's from 1993. So we're talking significant time. So I like what the director went for here. Director JP just and I were talking about it, Adam Marcus. So I like what he's going for here. He tried to give answers where we had questions as fans still. It seemed like the areas he tried to deliver and give explanations, they made you think more outside the box, for me at least. So I got to respect that aspect for sure. There's just some minor things that really, really sat with me that, yeah, we'll get into it.
So my initial was, because this movie came out with 93.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this film in the movie theater. So I was only like 14 when this came out, and I was excited to see this film, watching the trailers, and, it was like, during that time you had Jason Goes to Hell, and I think around that time you had, Final Friday, so they was like, oh, they're ending all these slasher films that I loved. Even though I was never a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan, but they're trying to conclude all these films that I loved, and so I was like, I gotta go see Jason Goes to Hell. I've got to see this fucking film. So I was in the theater like as soon as it hit, and 14-year-old me came out of the theater. I fucking loved this film. Leaving the theater, like I fucking loved it.
I mean, as a 13 or 14-year-old, there's a lot of fan service here, for sure.
So also, you also have to understand, I went in to see Jason Goes to Hell, and I walked out super fucking excited because I just got to see Evil Dead Jason.
You know what's funny? Literally, like, read this. Deadites, Necronomicon. Like, I actually wrote those things because...
And the Kandarian Dagger.
I'm not even done. I'm not done.
Yeah.
There's more. But there's more than that, too. There's a lot of fan service for different films and paying respects to different things, So
yeah, no, I fucking left the theater over the moon with this film. Now, rewatches years later, like by the time because I've rewatched this film numerous times, and I've owned different versions. I've owned this movie on VHS. I've owned it on multiple times on DVD. I own it on Blu-ray. I have it again on the big Blu-ray Friday 13th collector's set. So like I have bought multiple different covers and versions of this film, and I have watched it a number of times throughout the years. And once we got into the early 2000s, I probably did tend to agree more with the masses on this film. I was like, Jason Goes to Hell, no. In the past 5 to 10 years, or I'll say the past 10 years, I've kind of fell in love with this movie all over again, and I've rewatched it a number of times over the past 10 years, and I just fucking think this movie is fun. It's fucking fun, and it's unique in the Friday 13th universe is this movie dares to be different than any other Friday 13th film.
But do you think the 9th installment is the one to do that?
Why not?
I don't know. It was a lot. It was. I will say this for Mr. Marcus, it was a brave and daring approach. You came in hot. You had good intentions, and I don't mind it. I don't mind the movie at all. I think it's not a bad installment. It was a lot to process after knowing our version of Jason Voorhees and then coming into this version. That's all.
My first note on this film. We'll see if you agree or you're going to argue this.
Oh boy.
This is the most satisfying opening in all Friday the 13th films. And let me argue why.
Okay. Before
I remember as a kid going, why don't we just blow Jason up? Let's get some grenades and launchers and just start shooting the hell out of him and blow his ass up. What do they do at the beginning of this fucking film? The FBI does a raid on Camp Crystal Lake, and they fucking blow Jason Voorhees up. They light his ass up. And I remember, even as a kid, and even now, I mean, as a kid, that's what I always thought. Well, man, if we had some grenades and rocket launchers, we'd end Jason real quick. Well, by God, Adam Marcus did it in this film. And as a 14-year-old kid watching this in the theater, I'm going, finally, somebody put some logic into killing Jason. And I think it's the most satisfying opening of the Friday the 13th films for me with that aspect alone. And it's got the whole camp, the Crystal Lake feel too, with the girl in the bathroom and then chases her out of the cabin before this happens. Like I love this this whole opening sequence.
I love her too. I mean, I love the sequence as well.
I loved her a lot.
Yeah, the undercover FBI agent was definitely a nice touch. But the fact that she was solo and it wasn't a couple, that was interesting too. I mean, he kills single people too, but I was expecting like a couple kind of, and we get that. Don't worry, there's plenty of it. But yeah, that was kind of cool. I didn't have an issue with that, and I did like that because he's a demon. Essentially, his heart is kept beating, and you see it slow down, just like it went into like a dormant state. And then we get progression from there. But yeah, I don't remember a lot about 8. So that was why it was weird going right into this one.
8 to me is like the worst one.
Okay.
It's the one that he goes to Manhattan, but it's not even Manhattan. They're like in Canada.
I remember the Manhattan thing. I didn't mind that too bad. I like when you punch the dude's head off the roof. That was pretty great.
They had its moments, but most of that movie took place on a boat. It wasn't even in Manhattan. And even in Manhattan, they didn't film in Manhattan. They filmed in Canada, so they wasn't even in New York. But there was some cool things once they got to New York, but then the ending, the sewers get flooded with toxic waste, and Jason gets drugged into this toxic waste, and it flushes out, and then you see a kid Jason. It's not even adult Jason laying there. And it's a weird ending.
It's the weird ending, and then so that's my only complaint about this opening sequence that you're defending and everything. That look of Jason was horrible.
Okay, and I'm going to defend the look
You
of
can
Jason.
try.
I'm going to. However, this is where my mind always went with this. With the look of Jason, looks like he's been boiled. Because he has like these lumps and stuff on his head. He just looks.
But I didn't even get that. I felt like they put a hockey mask on Toxic Avenger.
Yeah, but hang on. This is why I'm going to defend it. I'm going to defend it because of Part 8. Even though we saw him as a kid after the toxic waste flushed away, I think the idea is, and this is how I always processed it, I always felt like the idea was he wasn't really a kid. I think maybe that was just something they were just trying to show. I feel like the toxic waste burned him and boiled his skin and turned him more Toxic Avenger looking, and that's why he has that head all deformed because of the toxic waste in Manhattan.
Yeah, no, I still don't. It just looked like shit.
Doesn't matter.
Now, So your point is going to be invalid by something I say too. So, but we have to talk about the movie more to get there. So we'll come back to that. So first of all, I want to talk about something rad. One of the castings in this movie. By the way, we get the opening sequence. FBI does their raid, blow up Jason. Now he's going to the morgue,
which is in Youngstown, Ohio.
Yes.
And I looked this up. The reason they chose Youngstown, Ohio, do you know why?
No, I did not look.
Because because it was an FBI raid that took Jason out, and they sent him to a federal morgue, and the closest one from there was Youngstown.
Okay, all right. Well, they get back to the town that where this morgue is, or maybe the town's by Camp Crystal Lake. That's right.
Town's by Crystal Lake.
So essentially, this is where things kind of get a little wonky. Okay, so the morticians, there's two of them, they begin to do the autopsy, and the main mortician, he gets very distracted by the heart. He's almost fixated on the heart. It starts beating again. And all of a sudden, before you can blink, he's ingesting this heart. He's literally eating the heart. Black goo's going everywhere. And that in that moment, Jason possesses this mortician, and the mortician begins acting like Jason Voorhees. The other mortician comes in. We get a quick kill, and then he's leaving. And there's two security people who do the check-in point outside of the doors of the morgue. Those people get killed too.
One of which was Kane Hodder.
Yes, he played the Jason we saw in the beginning, and he played this in the film as well. So Kane Hodder was in there. By the way, Kane Hodder, I'm still fucking a huge fan of the Meshuggah from Chillerama. So I just wanted to point that out. Anyways, from there he begins a walk. He begins a walk to Camp Crystal Lake, essentially, and they've patterned this because they realize that there is a killing, basically from the Youngstown morgue to Crystal Lake. There's basically a line of kills that have happened, and they kind of chart and track that. So then they focus on this little diner that's right by Crystal Lake. In the diner, though, I didn't know he had a sister, but it's Jason Voorhees' sister, who's played by none other than Erin Gray from Buck Rogers, who is, I don't even know how old she is now, but she's probably still hot because she's just a beautiful woman. But she's playing Diana, who is a Voorhees, and she has a daughter named Jessica. And right, was it Jessica?
I think so.
I think it's Jessica. And Jessica even has a daughter. So there's three generations of Voorhees right there. So I like this implementation. But the cool part is Jessica's ex, who's the father of the baby, is played by John D. LeMay. John D. LeMay, I stared at him for like a good 10 minutes. I'm like, who the fuck
from the
is
Friday the
this?
13th series.
I love the Friday the 13th series,
yeah.
And the fact they tied these two worlds together in a small way. Not the same character, obviously, but the fact that he was in this movie playing in one of the Friday the 13th was awesome, and he did a great job. I'm not gonna lie, he went from this nerdy dude to like an actual like baller. So I was impressed. But I did like him. That's where I wanted to get with all that, was talking about him, and JP wanted to ruin it.
I love Friday the 13th series, so I own it on DVD. I own
the original Conjuring.
Yeah. No. Much cooler. Yeah, no, I that was one thing I remember even back then. Like, I was like, oh, the guy from the series, the Friday the 13th series is in this movie. I've definitely got to see this movie now, because even as a kid, I was such a fan of the series. And I even wrote my notes, and this is a question, and I know we're not going to get an answer, but how does Jason's family know why he would be coming after them? Like, how does Jason know that he can be reborn by another Voorhees?
You're skipping the story too. Jumping to that, but yeah. So that's the whole thing. So there's this. There's only one way. And by the way, we have a bounty hunter named Steve, played by Steve Williams.
Yeah, he's Duke.
The Duke. He played Creighton Duke. Creighton Duke, however you want to say it. By the way, that was almost cast as Tony Todd. I found out Tony Todd was supposed to play that, but I'll tell you what, Steve Williams is just as good. If you don't know Steve Williams, he was in X-Files, he was in the newer It, he was in Blues Brothers, Supernatural, Stargate. He is just...
He's the captain in 21 Jump Street.
And he was the commissioner or whatever in the newer ones of the Channing Tatum and what's his face. So he's been around for a minute. Great. I mean, he literally started Johnny Depp's career and with the DeLuise brothers as well. So, but yeah, so Creighton Duke, he comes in. He somehow he knows or has. Now, there's backstory to his character. I want to get.
I
into
think
the backstory.
there's a lot of his story that was cut from the film.
There was.
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about this. So this bounty hunter, there's a TV persona who happens to be dating Jessica Voorhees, and
just so happens.
And the TV persona, he is interviewing Creighton Duke, and it kind of goes to this sequence before we get into any of the town stuff around Crystal Lake. And he's interviewing him, and Creighton goes, $500,000. He goes, you'll get the mask, the machete, the whole damn thing. And it's a Jaws reference. It was the first of many references in this movie, paying fan service to multiple different films. And so it was kind of cool he said that. But so literally that personality that Jessica's dating, I can't remember the character's name, but that guy goes on the air on his TV show publicly and says, I will pay you the $500,000 with confirmation of the death. And so Creighton goes into this town, and somehow he already knows this information about how to kill Jason Voorhees. The only way you can permanently kill him and send him to hell. And he starts saying, only I know. We come to find out later it's because it has to be a Voorhees relative that kills him, that sends him back. And so with this character, though, the things that were omitted and deleted, there's a sequence in it where he, what does he say? He says, remember me is what he says. And it's actually in the movie, but there's no other context or story to it. So everyone, you're watching that in the first watch, you're like, how the fuck would he remember him? What is he talking about? Mm-hmm. Well, they make it so Jason's first kill when he comes up out of the lake and he pulls the canoe over, he pulls the girl out of the canoe. That girl was Creighton's girlfriend, apparently, in the story that gives that depth to it. And that's supposed to build him to this lifelong quest to kill Jason Voorhees and be obsessed with him. So, the movie kind of goes from there. And that just, I feel like that was where I'm talking about, where Adam Marcus really was trying to bring things together. Why the studio decided to omit that and get rid of that portion, I don't know. But he was trying to give, I felt like he was like, just in case this is the final film, we're going to get some closure. It's the way he kind of seemed to try and build it. So I can give respect to that.
Yeah. And I love the Duke character. I wish we'd have got more of that backstory. And I love Stephen Williams. In the interview, I actually wrote this in my notes because I laughed so hard at this quote of what Duke actually says in this interview. He goes, he asked him when he starts giving things, he goes, well, when I say Jason Voorhees, what do you think of? And he wrote, and I wrote this down in quotes, a little girl in a pink dress with a donut sticking a hot dog through it.
Okay.
And I literally wrote, what the hell?
It's because he's teasing him. He's trying to get him to come to him. That's all this dude wants. He's obsessed with killing Jason.
Yeah. My next notes that I put in here, the tent kill. What'd you think about the tent kill? With the couple that he takes to Crystal Lake and the two girls.
So I told, that's the character that John D. LeMay, he takes them, they're hitchhikers, but they want to camp with that. What was it? I think in the car, the conversation was, it was fornication, doing drugs, not in this order. This is in direct quote.
Have sex, do a bunch of drugs, and
get murdered by Jason or whatever. And they're like, we want to have sex, do drugs, and not get murdered because now he's gone because they thought he was dead. And so they're there, and the mortician guy who Jason has now possessed, he shows up at the camp, and I will say this: at least they let them finish.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a brutal kill scene, standard par for the course Jason style stuff. So yeah,
and it's really about the only kill that feels very standard for Jason in this whole film. Because once he leaves there, he's right back. He's going back into the town. I do wish we'd have got, just like the more of a backstory with Duke. I wish we'd have got more of a backstory on how did he have a sister that we didn't know about? Where did this all come from? Just at least a little bit more with his sister, a little bit of a backstory, and it wouldn't even have to have been long. It could have been even just a few throwaway lines would have made me a little happy.
This movie was only an hour and 27 minutes. So
Yeah.
with it being only an hour and 27 minutes, there's definitely room, like 10 more minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it was, to start adding a little more contextual character building would have helped a lot for sure. But I can't be upset with Adam Marcus on that, because I definitely feel like that's more of a studio call and not within his power.
Yeah, I think studios were, you got to have it to the here. You can't have all this. You can't have a 2-hour Friday 13th film, And I always laughed about this because it was so odd. And I'm sure it's been asked of Adam Marcus in interviews, but it was one of these that I would have to ask him. And I'm sure Rick is probably going to tell me in the comments right now. Right now. Jason, he basically, as he stays possessing these bodies, he burns the bodies out, so he has to jump into another body. So when the first time we see him jump, he jumps into the deputy or sheriff deputy, and he straps this deputy down and shaves his mustache. And I always thought that was odd, and I wrote it in my notes like. Where is it? I had literally just saw it in my notes. Oh, yeah. Jason shaving the cop before possessing him. Why? Why does Jason have to shave this cop's mustache before he decides to possess him? It just was always really odd and off to me.
Maybe it was for a closer connection when he transfers bodies.
Didn't the mortician have like a beard?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're right. It's random. It's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably some things that were cut that would explain this, but yeah, I would like Mr. Marcus, can we get a director's cut here? All right, let's check out all the cut footage and see what we can do with this.
I would love to see an extended version of some of the stuff that he shot that ended up on the cutting room floor.
So as this movie progresses and the kills progress, a lot of the fan service starts to come into place. We got the Jaws reference already. The next one, so when they're in the Voorhees house, first of all, I guess we'll start off with this one. As you walk into the Voorhees house, there's a play set, a swing set outside. I was shocked to know that that's the actual original play set from the movie The Birds.
Is it?
Yes, I did not know that. So we've got at this point now we've got Jaws and we've got The Birds being paid respects to. They go into the house and I think it's Jessica that sees the book. The Necronomicon is sitting on a table, and it's alluding to Mrs. Voorhees using this book to bring Jason back to life. Is what it seems to be where Adam's going.
And it is the Necronomicon from Evil Dead.
Yes, but. So it's not a direct tie, though. It was the way that they worded it wasn't. They never alluded it being the Necronomicon. But they used that prop. If that makes sense.
I've had seen many interviews with Adam Marcus.
With Marcus, where he confirmed it. Okay,
he's like, yes, this is why, and I've heard him say, yes, he's a Deadite. It's just like I agree that Jason Voorhees is a Deadite.
In this version of Jason, I will say yes, he seems like a Deadite.
Yeah.
So.
And that's why he even had the Kandarian dagger at the end of the film, was because of Evil Dead.
So the Kandarian dagger, that I get that too, all of that. But so this brings more questions to me though. So I already complained about Jason's look, and that really was painful to see. So I was happy they blew that up. But so was body jumping a thing this whole time, and no one knows? That's the big thing for me, because we always saw Jason and we saw him as this invincible monster, if you will, who kept coming back from the dead and kept killing all these kids and kept killing all these people. And the whole time we're seeing Jason. And what they did with this movie was when he would inhabit a body, we'd see Jason in the mirror, though. So whenever anyone was being attacked by Jason, if there's a mirror and they looked over, they'd see Jason himself. So it wasn't that person that he's inhabited. They were still seeing Jason. So to us, as the viewer, are we watching Jason the whole time body jumping, and we're just seeing Jason, and that could have been the case the whole time? That was kind of clever, I thought, for Adam Marcus to throw in there, because any movie that makes you think about the past 8 movies before it and think, was this what was happening the whole time? That one kind of really stuck with me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's what was happening the whole time, but I think it definitely helped. To me, it was a creative idea to continue to build on how he could have survived, or how he could even continue to come back and survive. There's a number of things in there.
I have another question. So the promo posters for this and the promo ads all showed the metal mask, a metal hockey mask, the silver shiny one, but it was not in the movie. Was this just foreshadowing? What were your thoughts on that? Like what?
I think it was just like I'm sure this has been answered in interviews as well at some point, but if I had to guess, no different than a lot of your poster designs from the 80s and early 90s, where somebody else, some artist, like, put something together and said, here you go, and it doesn't even really match the film. How many barbarian movies or sorcerer movies do we have that the posters didn't match the film? I think inevitably what happened is, if I had to guess, it would be somebody built this poster, this image, and then somebody said, I like that. That looks really cool. Let's use that. Even though it didn't entirely have anything to do with the film. That would be my guess. I'm sure it's been answered in interviews. So.
All right.
The diner scene.
What's the redheaded big woman's name?
Oh,
her what she looked like, the character from American Horror Story with the butthole mouth.
Joey B.
Joey
Rusty
B.
Swimmer.
But is it American Horror Story that with the butthole mouth kid? I'm pretty sure it was. He tried to kill himself, and he sewed his mouth back together.
I'm thinking of Preacher.
Maybe it was Preacher.
Preacher.
It was Preacher.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of.
And Leslie Jordan.
Leslie Jordan, yes, he's an American Horror Story too.
Yeah.
That woman made me think of that with her death scene. Leslie's death scene, though, like, dude, I've never, like, there would have been something raw when he came out of the fryer, dude. He was just crissy black, dude.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Yeah, these kills were cool.
I love the diner scene. I think these kills are great. The sun goes out, twirling the pistol in his finger, and Jason just comes in like a wrecking ball. And you got the waitress shooting at him. You've got what was Jessica? Jessica's shooting. Everybody's shooting at this guy.
All right, so rewind. So the police officer whose mustache was shaved off, his mustache, when he inhabited that body, that is the person who went right for Diana, which was Jessica's mom, trying to kill her and be done with it, be done with her. In that sequence when that happened, where was I going with this?
Well, Steven gets blamed for the murder.
He does. He gets blamed for the murder, but there's something else big that happens here. And I'm having a brain fart.
Well, they kind of do a Halloween homage, because he goes out the window, then when you look out the window, he's gone.
I don't remember what I was going for here. It flew away. It's gone. Maybe, you know what? I think I know what I was going for here. Why? So the first guy, he ingested the heart. Why did it become a tongue thing after that?
I think it's more of a leech at that point.
Okay.
Of some sort.
All right. That was a little weird.
It's just weirdness to be weird.
Yeah.
No different than an Evil Dead movie.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing is, like, I couldn't establish a line between a Friday the 13th movie and an Evil Dead movie, because there's wacky shit in Evil Dead.
Yeah.
There's just semi-wacky shit in Jason.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think he couldn't make it as wacky as an Evil Dead film because it is a Friday the 13th film. But so there's that. But I love this diner scene. I mean, the kills are great. You got
That's what I was talking about. The guy that Jessica's dating, the TV personality.
mhm.
So he becomes the host. That's where we get into
Yeah.
the diner thing, but all through that scene. And when he becomes the new host, not the host of the TV show he's on, but at this point, Diana's been killed. So the diner scene's happening. But as we lead into the diner scene, the LeMay guy, he was hiding in the house when something happened. They had moved. Oh, that's what it was. When the host guy got taken over by Jason, he was inside the Voorhees house. He had alternate plans.
He had stole Jessica's mom.
He stole
body.
her body and he put it in the closet because he wanted a shock value for the people watching. He had no cares about Jessica and his evil was showing. So when Jason killed him, it was very, very. It felt good. And I was cool with that one. That dude can take a bullet, by the way.
Yeah.
He gets shot so many times.
Yeah, they lit him up in that scene, and the kills, like I said, we were saying the kills are great here. And I love Leslie Jordan. Anytime I see Leslie Jordan, I fucking love that guy.
When he talks, it reminds me of Dana Carvey doing the nurse or the preacher lady or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that special?
I was like, isn't that special?
Yeah.
So from here, we kind of get into the back end of this movie, and this is where Duke comes back and is telling her, got to have a Voorhees, has got to kill a Voorhees, and gives her this special knife that turns into the Kandarian dagger. And so they all converge onto the Voorhees home. And essentially, the question is asked, does he have to be reborn from a living Voorhees?
Oh yeah, when he came into the other. So that was another question too. So like, he went into the mom through the area he could. Yeah, because when Jason expels from the body, he's essentially a parasitic leech, if you will, a little thing with wings and a tail almost. It's weird. But he crawls into Jessica's mom's body, Diana, and when that happens, all of a sudden it's Jason everywhere. And that's where that prompted my whole question.
So yeah, this is my big issue with this film. I don't have as many issues, especially as many issues as you, because a lot of everything I'm seeing to this point, I'm on board with. I just want a little more backstory. Now, even in my notes this time, I wrote reborn with his mask. So Jason is reborn from his dead sister's corpse, and he comes out full Toxic Avenger Jason.
I didn't take it as that. I didn't take it as reborn at all.
What would you reincarnated or
no? He now possessed her body, and we were just seeing Jason, but he was still in her body doing all that shit.
No, because even Duke said he can be reborn from a Voorhees.
But how is he reborn though?
He went into her vagina.
Yeah, that's
what happened.
I took it as okay. Jessica's baby could be taken over.
Yeah, you could take it that way. This is what it is. No, he was going to be
Show
reborn.
me where it says that.
Duke says it in the film.
Yeah, well, he says that, but I don't take that as a reborn scenario because he crawled up in her and then came out.
And then came out reborn. Weird. Yeah, he is reborn. That is what happened.
Now I've got issues.
In the comments, do you think that he possessed the dead corpse of his sister and we're just seeing Jason, or was he reborn from his dead sister's corpse? I say he was reborn. And that's not what I had the issue with. You have the issue with that. I just had the issue that he's been reborn in his fucking Jason Voorhees, his hockey mask. And, that's the only issue. I wish he'd have came out with no mask. Mutant zombie mutated Jason.
I never need the face of him. A few times we've seen the face in the movies, I was like, don't do that.
I get it, but I mean, if you're being reborn, I don't think that her vagina is going to create a hockey mask.
No,
I mean,
but again, that's where I'm leaning more towards my theory, where I think that he's possessed her body, and we're just seeing that because that would be a lot to come out of her vagina. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm sure she exploded.
She's a very special
Yeah.
producing mother. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure her body. Yeah, we just didn't get to see that.
Yeah.
Um.
Oh boy.
So yeah, from there they used the Kandarian dagger. A Voorhees kills a Voorhees. A bunch of Muppet hands come out of the ground and start dragging Jason to hell. Which I actually wrote, hands out of the ground, Evil Dead. I don't know. Every time I saw that, I always thought about Ash in the graveyard with the skeleton hands.
The hands were like golem hands, if you will.
Yeah.
So they kind of remind me of the rock creature from the Neverending Story.
Yeah, it was different for sure. I love how the spotlight gets smaller and smaller and smaller as he goes under.
And I love how our final fan service in this, obviously, which leads us to Jason versus Freddy, but Freddy's hand comes up and grabs a mask that stays behind.
Yeah,
which is why no matter what, that mask came back. They had to do it.
They had to. Yeah, they had to. But I know it sounds trivial. My big issue that I'm going to bitch about is he's got his mask again. But you know, that is what it is for me. You know, I think this movie's so fucking fun. Now, is this my favorite Friday the 13th movie? No, it's not. But it's damn sure nowhere near the bottom end of the Friday the 13th films for me.
I have just acquired every single Jason movie made, and I'm gonna give a rewatch, go through that. Definitely want to give my own little rankings, so we'll follow up. That's to be continued.
Yeah, we can do a ranking.
Did you see there's a new short Jason movie that got approved by the studio that made that has the licensing to this? They approved a short film that's tied into Jason. It's canon. That it's only 29 minutes long, I guess. I forgot the name of it, but it's supposedly that's coming out here.
The Never Hike Alone and Never Hike Alone 2 are fantastic fan films.
Well, this is canon though. This is actually approved by them. So
this one actually has Tom Matthews, and it's a continuation of Part 6. It's like 30 years later after Part 6.
That's the one I'm talking about? The
one I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
And because Tom Matthews is even in it. He returns as his character from Part 6 as Tommy. Like it's got a bunch of return actors. It's got a few return actors. It's such a good Friday 13th. That film is Never Hike Alone Part 1 and Part 2 is a better Friday 13th film than half of the Friday 13th films that we have. So, budget.
Sweet Revenge.
Okay.
Budget. I looked it up. You didn't. So do you want to guess here? Even though we had agreed.
Yeah, we agreed, but he fucked it up.
I didn't fuck it up. He didn't look it up. It's his movie.
I could have looked it up. You said you already had it.
looked it up, but it's.
But you said you already had it and looked at
whatever.
it.
Whatever.
I do know this was done on a low budget. And I don't remember this film making a lot of money. I think it did okay for a Friday 13th film. But I think at this point, the Friday 13th films box office had went down drastically. I'm going to say budget-wise, this is probably about $5 million.
It was 3.
Okay. If I said box office, I want to say that some of these didn't make any more than $20 million.
No, it didn't.
And I want to say this one made less than that because I think some of the ones that made the most money were around $20 million, I think. And I'm pretty sure that this one went down drastically. So I want to say this one probably $14 million.
It's 15.
15?
Yeah, 15.9, almost 16, sorry.
Okay, so I wasn't too far off on that.
No, yeah. Definitely understand why they didn't do another one right away. Definitely saw some gaps in the time frames.
Well, there's continuity issues with all these Friday 13th films.
Well, before we get into the ratings here, I got something for you.
Okay.
Actually, I shouldn't say I have something. I tasked my wife with a hunt, and my wife found these.
Oh, sweet.
Got the Chucky sandals or slippers.
Chucky slippers. And you guys know I'm a massive Chucky fan. Like, Voorhees and Chucky are my favorites, and I'm a massive Chucky fan. So
Well,
this is awesome.
he posted that he was on the hunt for these, and so my wife goes to Five Below way too much, and so she got you those, and she got my son the Jason Voorhees ones.
Sweet. Yeah. Thank you, Jessica and Ryan.
All right, let's get into ratings.
My movie, you go first.
All right. So, all right. I have to appreciate the budget here for what all they did with the Jason movie. Lots of practical effects, lots of fun. He tried to be authentic by staying to an actual morgue involving the FBI. It's got some roots in Ohio. Lots of fan service paid here. So I do appreciate the director and what he's going for. I do like that, more than anything, I like that the director made me question the previous films by what we are seeing and what we now were thinking we were seeing in this movie. So I'm thinking the whole time, did we have him jumping bodies this whole time? And it might not be a thing. Maybe we got Jason, but I kind of like that concept. So if that was intended, bravo. If not, bravo still for making me think it. So as a whole, for me, I'll go 2.9 nerds. We'll do a 3. We'll keep it an even 3 because it really any movie that makes me question things at the end, I appreciate that.
Okay, yeah, and I think that's better than what some people would talk about this film.
Yeah, it's my upon rewatch. And that big thing with the question at the end of what we were seeing versus what we weren't seeing, that made me reevaluate my way here because that's just a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
So,
for me, this film, like I said it a few minutes ago, this isn't the best Friday the 13th. It's definitely to me, it's far from the worst. Yeah, and I'm not going to sit here and say give away a ranking just in case we ever rank these Friday the 13th films. But this movie, what I love about this movie dares to be different from any of the other Friday the 13ths. And there was Adam Marcus took a lot of leaps with this film with what he was trying to do. And I appreciate the fuck out of that. And because at that point when this movie came out, I was kind of over the whole camp killer, movies. And so this brought a pretty fresh twist on Jason Voorhees for me. And I was excited for it when I was a kid and went to the theater and watched this. And I appreciate it even more now looking back on it. This film has its issues. There's a lot of backstory that I think could have been in there, or even just some throwaway lines that could have been in there to explain a little bit more with some of the backstories. But overall, I fucking love this film, and I think anybody who hates on this film, I think you need to really go back and watch this film with the open eyes of this film dares to be different, but tries to be innovative and keep Jason Voorhees' character going. And I love the Evil Dead, the Deadite Jason, as I like to call him. I love the Evil Dead tie-ins in this, and all the other little tie-ins with, we talked about, you said the birds, and I always felt the one was like a Michael Myers homage with him being thrown out the window and then being gone. Jaws, etc. There's so many little throwbacks. I'm going to put this one at a 3.6.
Oh,
nerds.
Wow.
Like, I generally really like this film. Now, this, again, it's not the best, but it's far from the worst. I will die on that mountain of this is not the worst Friday the 13th film. I can think of many more Friday the 13th films that are way worse than this film. And I generally really, and I like all the Friday the 13th films. So when I say that, I'm not saying that in a negative light. I get enjoyment from all of them. So
I will let you know upon my rewatches.
Any recommendations?
Yes, but this one I want you to take with a grain of salt. because it definitely has its pacing issues. But if you're a fan of the slow burn, and you are patient, give Weapons a chance. Weapons is a pretty solid movie. I just got the chance to see. I love the concept. I love the backstory, the build up. The build up's a little much. There are some points, like I said, that really drag. But if you can get past that first hour, you're into something magical. So check out Weapons.
I have been really wanting to watch that film, and I have not got to watch it yet. And I wanted to go to theater and watch it, and just it hasn't happened. And it's on early digital now, but I'm not going to spend $25 on an early digital right now. So I'll wait for it to come down. But I do really, really want to see that film. I've not watched a lot lately, but other than what we're going to be filming, I've watched that stuff, and I've been still on my Supernatural kick on that series. So I'm like almost 10 seasons in now.
I think I'm 8 episodes away from finishing Smallville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've already recommended Supernatural, so I'm just letting you guys know I'm still deep into that. But I did stop the other day, and because it was on sale, $5, I think, $5 or $6 it was on sale. And you guys know I've been trying to pick up random Stephen King stuff, and so I picked up Needful Things and rewatched Needful Things, and I love that movie. I love Needful Things. It has elements of Salem's Lot with the character in the shop. I just think it's a fun little twisted film, and could be better. Yeah, but you can say that about a lot of Stephen King movies. Could be better. But if you never saw Needful Things, and you're a Stephen King fan, then that one's a fun one. So
Stephen King's become kind of one of those deals where I've seen his top tier movies when he was at his peak, and I've seen the movies coming out lately, and it's just like they keep kind of going down. The fact that he has so many ideas, I'm not.
Well, the thing with Stephen King films is you say that, but it's like that's how it started. In the 70s when you had films like John Carpenter did Christine and films like that Cujo, you had all these really, really fucking good.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the stuff he's putting out. What I'm saying is, box office wise, people are just losing interest.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Even that's what I'm trying to say. It's happened to him multiple times. I mean, you had the 70s. You had like these huge hits: Salem's Lot, Christine, Cujo, and then all of a sudden, you had Maximum Overdrive, which I love Maximum Overdrive, but you had Maximum Overdrive. You had the Shining remake. You had Trucks, a made-for-TV movie, Trucks. Yeah, you had everything went way down. You had Stephen King's The Golden Years, and it went down. Now all of a sudden, they started redoing some of this stuff and doing some of the other cool stuff. You had Mike Flanagan do a lot of stuff of his, and all of a sudden his people were like Stephen King, and all his shit's up here again. But now it's starting to taper off again.
I mentioned that because I haven't seen it yet, but I'm curious to watch The Long Walk because that just came out, and but everyone's saying it's horrible. So.
Yeah, I haven't watched that. I mean, I think it just came out, but yeah, I didn't have a desire to watch that one. But
where can they find all of our needful information?
Oh, well, that's an easy one-stop area: CineNerdsPodcast.com. All of our links are there. You can go to our letterboxes where Ryan writes all kinds of reviews constantly, and I steal them and post them onto our website.
It works.
Also, links to all of our audio listeners, and for Spotify, Apple Podcasts, our YouTube channel. Please subscribe. You can go to our Facebook. You can follow us there. And there's also a shop. What can they get at the shop, Ryan?
We got hoodies, we got coffee mugs, we got T-shirts, we got, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Keychains, koozies, you name it. Whatever your CineNerds wearing fun would be, check it out.
All right, guys. We're in the midst of Halloween, October. Till next time.
Peace.